Hey guys, it's Mock here, and if you have been playing Path of Exile 2 and you've came across items like this one here, a tier 2 gold ring, or this one here, a tier 3 bow, and you don't know exactly what these tiers are, what they mean and how they work, that's exactly what I'm going to explain to you in this video. In Path of Exile 2, items can have modifiers. For example, the spare boots here have 5 modifiers: 38 to maximum energy shield, 69 to maximum life, 35% reduced attribute requirements, 18% to fire resistance, and 14% to lightning resistance. These modifiers are randomly assigned to magic and rare items when you identify them. For example, if I identify this helmet here, you're gonna see that I'm going to receive some modifiers. So let's do it right now. I'm gonna identify it. And you can see that I got 23 to armor and 12 to intelligence. And again, these modifiers, they are randomly assigned from a pool of many different possible modifiers, and each modifier can have different values. That means that when you identify an item, not only you get random modifiers, but also those modifiers have random values. Now, if you hover your cursor over an item and you press the Alt key on your keyboard, you're going to see more information about the item and its modifiers. For example, for these spare boots here, if I press the Alt key, you can see that, for example, the plus 69 to maximum life, this modifier here, it can vary from 60 to 69, and it's a T5 modifier. The T5 here, if I hover over the T5, I can see even more information. I can see that this is a prefix modifier called Stout. Yes, modifiers, they have names. So it's called Stout. It's a tier 5 modifier of the type Life. Now, the important thing here is the tier. In this case, a tier 5 modifier. If you go to the website poe2db.tw, you can check all the different possible modifiers for any item in the game. In fact, let's do this right now. Let's check all the possible maximum life modifiers for these boots here. Now, in order to do so, first, you need to know what kind of boots these are. And you can find this by checking the item requirements. So if I hover my cursor over the boots, I press the Alt key on the keyboard, I can see more information about the item. And I can see that these boots here, they require level 59, and they require 65 int, which stands for intelligence, which means that these boots are intelligence boots. So now let's go to the website, poe2db.tw. By the way, this is a very important site if you're planning to play Path of Exile 2 long term. Here, I'm gonna go to modifiers, then modifiers again, and I'm gonna look for my specific type of boots. So I'm gonna go boots, and then boots int, which means intelligence boots. I'm gonna click here. And here I can check all the different possible modifiers for intelligence boots. And here I have the maximum life modifier. If I click here on the maximum life modifier, which is the one we got on our boots, I'm going to click here. And then I can see from top to bottom all the different tiers for the maximum life modifier. So this here is the tier 1 maximum life modifier, which gives me 10 to 19 to maximum life. This here is the tier 2, which gives me 20 to 29, and so on. And if we go here, if you check here, this is tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, 4, and here is tier 5 Stout, 60 to 69 to maximum life, which matches the information we got in the game. If we go back to the game, press Alt, we can see here, maximum life, we got 69. It varies from 60 to 69. It's a tier 5 modifier called Stout, which is exactly what you can see here on the website. It's also important to mention that these numbers here, 1, 5, 11, 18, 24, these are not the modifier tiers. The tiers, they go from top to bottom, just, this is tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and so on. These numbers here are the item requirement, which means that, let's say, for example, you want to get this modifier here, 100 to 119 to maximum life. In order to get this modifier, your item, in this case, the pair of boots, has to be at least item level 44. And you can check the item level of any item in the game by pressing the Alt key on your keyboard. So if I go back to the game and I check again my pair of boots, if I press Alt, I can see that these boots here are item level 65. So again, when you identify an item in Path of Exile 2, the item receives random modifiers. And these modifiers, they have different tiers, and the higher the tier, the better the modifier. And because there's so many different modifiers with many different tiers, and everything is randomly assigned when you identify an item, getting high tiers of the modifiers you want can be really hard. And that's exactly where the item tier system comes into play. In Path of Exile 2, when you find items that say tier 2, like for example this gold ring here, it says gold ring tier 2, or this bow here, it says tier 3, that means that when you identify these items, the tiered items, lower tier modifiers are going to be ignored. They can't appear, they can't be assigned to your items. So for example, if we go back to the website here and we check again the maximum life modifiers for intelligence boots, for regular non-tiered intelligence boots, you have 9 different maximum life modifiers. That means that even if you get the maximum life modifier, it doesn't guarantee that this is going to be of higher tier, because it's still going to randomly give you one of the possible 9 tiers. Now, on the other hand, if you get tier 2 boots, like for example this pair of boots here, advanced lizard scale boots, tier 2, if you get tier 2 boots and you identify them, the lower tier modifiers like tier 1, tier 2, the lower ones are going to be ignored. They can't be assigned to the item, which guarantees or at least increases the chances, the probability that you're going to get higher tier modifiers. We don't know exactly how many modifiers are ignored according to the item tier, but we do know that the higher the tier, the more lower modifiers are going to be ignored. And right now, in the current state of the game, item tiers go up to tier 5. Here you can see I have 2 tier 2 items and 1 tier 3 items, but if you play the game long enough, you're gonna find item tiers, items of tier 4 and tier 5. Of course, tier 4 and 5 are much rarer than tier 2 or tier 3. So, to sum it up, tiered items, they guarantee better modifiers on items. They don't guarantee good modifiers, because you still can get a tier 5 item, which is the highest tier, with crappy modifiers, but they do guarantee that the modifiers you get are going to be of high tier. And finally, it's important to notice and realize the difference between modifier tiers and item tiers, because both systems use the word tier, and that can be a little bit confusing. Modifier tiers are the strength or the different levels of given modifiers for the item. So for example, here, the maximum life modifier, it has 9 different tiers or 9 different levels. On the other hand, the item tiers is the system that guarantees that a given item will have a higher modifier. So it can be a little bit confusing, because as I was telling you guys, both those are different systems that are related, and both use the word tier, so that can be a little bit confusing. Well guys, that's the video. I hope you liked it, and if you liked it, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. I'm a new PoE2 creator, and any likes and subscriptions will help me a lot. So that's it. Thank you so much, and I see you all guys next video.